A worker dies in an oil tank explosion, and the financial crisis gives a good turn for geothermal. All this and more in today's Energy Scout News. Hello and welcome back to Energy Scout News and Information. I'm Red Byers. An oil tank explosion killed one worker and injured three others in Honolulu this week. Sean Miguel Norva was welding rails on the tank when nearly 10,000 gallons of reconditioned motor oil exploded. The blast hurled him about 100 feet over a fence and into the back of a pickup truck. Norva was dead by the time paramedics arrived, and the three others were rushed to the hospital and are currently in stable condition. The financial crisis could cause oil and gas companies to cut back on capital spending. Analysts say established companies with a healthy cash flow and low debt will weather the storm. Firms that need financing for projects could find themselves in trouble, and that could lead to the sale of assets and cuts in exploration as well as production. Some may even be unable to fulfill their contracts. The EIA has cut its forecast for non-OPEC oil production growth for 2009. The agency now predicts non-OPEC nations will produce about 730,000 barrels per day. That's a 160,000 barrel drop from its earlier forecast. The EIA also trimmed its forecast for 2008 by 250,000 barrels a day. And the financial crisis appears to be good news for geothermal industry. But first, a look at today's mergers and acquisitions. Ryland Oil has purchased Viceroy Resources for about $1.8 million. Hemi Energy Group has sold its Immigrant Gap lease in Wyoming to a private equity group. And finally, Sempra Energy has acquired Energy South for $510 million. The Minerals Management Service could hold another sale for oil and gas leases in the Central Gulf of Mexico on March 18th. The sale would cover 6,200 blocks, covering more than 33.5 million acres off Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. The area includes 5.8 million acres, known as the 181 South area, which will be offered for lease for the first time since 1988. Department of Energy Deputy Assistant Secretary Alan Hegberg says Chinese investment would be welcomed in the United States oil and gas industry. He noted that China already allows United States firms to invest there. If they want to invest in our oil and gas sector, I can't imagine we would have any objections. And now for a look at today's people on the move. Petro-Canada has appointed Ron Davey as the company Norway's general manager. Triton Group has named Dave Sturrock Group Chief Operating Officer. And finally, Jonathan Harvey has been named Senior Instructional Designer for Oilinium. Science Applications International Corporation has received a $5.5 million federal grant to study the Gulf of Mexico loop current. Findings will help us understand how currents may interrupt oil production and affect the movement of oil spills. Exploration of the Gulf Coast could be made safer with a better understanding of the loop current. Occidental Petroleum Corporation has signed a deal to develop a pair of oil and gas fields in Abu Dhabi. Occidental will invest $500 million in the project. Production could begin as early as 2011. The financial meltdown, crude oil roller coaster, and the volatile natural gas market have helped create a perfect storm in the energy industry. And it's one that's got geothermal proponents singing in the rain. According to the Geothermal Energy Association, new projects are underway across the United States from Alaska to Texas. These plants could produce more than 3,300 megawatts, which would nearly double the country's capacity. For more information on these stories and more, check out our news section on our site. And if you have any news to share from around the energy industry, you can email us at news@energyscout.com. And as always, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.